Welcome to another monthly portfolio update. If you are stopping by for the first time, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. In this video, I will share with you how much I invested in my taxable account in January, how many shares I bought, and the value of my portfolio at the end of January. But as always, before I continue, a quick disclaimer. The information that I'm sharing is not financial advice. Before you invest in anything, please do your own research and make sure that you only invest in things that you understand. With that being said, I will dive right into my portfolio update. I will start with a quick recap of my December 2024 portfolio to show you the value of the portfolio and how many shares I had before the beginning of January 2025. The total value of my portfolio at the end of December 2024 was $82,256.36. $82,252.08 was the market value of my investments, and $4.28 was the cash amount. At the end of December 2024, the total profit of my portfolio was at $24,448.87. This was plus of 42.30%. These are my holdings, 2 Vanguard ETFs and the 2 BlackRock ETFs. VCN is a Vanguard ETF that tracks the Canadian market. I had 104 shares of VCN at the end of December. VFV is a Vanguard ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index. This is the Canadian version of a VOO. I had 288 shares of a VFV at the end of December. XEQT is a BlackRock ETF. This is an all-in-one equity ETF which holds Canadian equities, US equities, developed market equities outside of North America, and emerging market equities. If you want to hold a single equity ETF which is globally diversified, you might consider looking into XEQT. I had 500 shares of XEQT at the end of December. XOU is a BlackRock ETF that tracks the US total stock market, and I had 272 shares of XOU at the end of December. I will now show you how much I invested in January and how many shares I bought. I bought 2 shares of VCN. The cost per share was $50.57. The total cost, $101.13. This is 8% of the amount that I invested in January. I bought 4 shares of VFV. The cost per share was $150.95. The total cost, $603.80. This is 47% of the amount that I invested in January. I bought 10 shares of XEQT. The cost per share was $34.29. The total cost, $342.90. This is 26% of the amount that I invested in January. I bought 4 shares of XOU. The cost per share was $62.43. The total cost, $249.73. And this is 19% of the amount that I invested in January. In total, I bought 20 shares, all the ETFs combined. And the amount that I invested in January was $1,297.56. This is $35.68 less than the amount that I invested in December. As you can see, in December, I invested $1,333.24. And in January, $1,297.56. The difference is minus $35.68. The total equity of my portfolio at the end of January was $86,939.50. $86,882.32 was the market value of my investments, and $57.18 was the cash amount. At the end of January, the total profit of my portfolio was at $27,781.55. This was plus 47%. As of January the 31st, I had 106 shares of VCN, 292 shares of VFV, 510 shares of XEQT, and 276 shares of XOU. Alright, let's now take a look at some quick details about each of the positions. I will start with a VCN. The closing market price on January the 31st was $52.40. The quantity of shares that I had, 106. The average price, $41.32. The book value, which is how much I have invested in VCN, was $4,380.04. The market value was $5,554.40. This was 6.39% of my portfolio. The total profit for VCN was $1,174.36, or 26.81%. Next, we have VFV. The closing market price on January the 31st was $155.78. The quantity of shares that I had, 292. The average price, $100.90. The book value was $29,464.55. The market value was $45,487.76. This was 52.32% of my portfolio. The total profit for VFV was $16,023.21, or 54.38%. Then we have XEQT. The closing market price on January the 31st was $35.12. The quantity of shares that I had, 510. The average price, $26.20. The book value was $13,365.41. The market value was $17,911.20. This was a 20.60% of my portfolio. The total profit for X equity was $4,545.79, or 34.01%. Finally, we have XOU. The closing market price on January the 31st was $64.96. The quantity of shares that I had, 276. The average price, $43.08. The book value was $11,890.77. The market value was $17,928.96. This was a 20.62% of my portfolio. The total profit for XUU was $6,038.19, or 50.78%. The stock market started the year off on the right foot. My portfolio went from 42.30% at the beginning of January to 47% at the end of January. This is an increase of 4.70% in 1 month. And the amount that I invested in January was $1,297.56. As for the S&P 500 index, it rose 2.70% in January. January has historically been one of the strongest months of the year for US equity returns. You may have heard of the January effect theory, which is a supposed tendency for stocks to rise in the first month of the year. People have generally attributed the supposed rally in January to the rise in buying that follows the price drop that typically happens in December. However, it's important to note that this phenomenon doesn't happen every year. Sometimes January ends up with negative returns, sometimes it ends up with positive returns. There is another theory derived from the stock market performance in January called the January barometer. This theory refers to the fact that the S&P 500's calendar year performance has matched the direction of January returns nearly 77% of the time. This means when the S&P 500 index rises in January, full-year returns tend to be positive. And when the index falls in January, full-year returns tend to be negative. This has led some people to believe that when it comes to stock market performance, as goes January, so goes the year. Again, this direct relationship between January and full-year stock market returns happens only 77% of the time. It did happen the past 2 years. In 2023, the S&P 500 was up 6.18% in January, and the full-year return was 26%. In 2024, the S&P 500 was up 1.59% in January, and the full-year return was 23.30%. This January, the S&P 500 was up 2.70%. Does this mean the full-year return for January 2025 will be positive? The answer is no one really knows for sure. Is there a chance that the 2025 full-year return will be positive? Yes, there is a chance. The January barometer theory works 77% of the time and fails the other 23% of the time. But as the saying goes, past performance does not guarantee future results. If you are a long-term investor, dollar cost average every month and stay the course. You may end up doing better than most people over time. Alright, feel free to leave a comment below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time with another update. Peace out.